Bo Melton, wide receiver and cornerback. Versatility seemingly is the new attribute that the Packers are paying the most attention to. Now, sure, they still want to be young, and they're not signing free agents that are over the age of 30. So the youth movement philosophy still exists, but it's no longer about the youth movement. It's year 3 under quarterback Jordan Love as the starter. It's about chasing championships now. So I think the Packers are beginning to care a hell of a lot more about versatility than they do necessarily about youth. So I am declaring, as of today, June 11, 2025, the Packers youth movement is dead. Welcome to the versatility movement.
Did I not, and did we not, make clear that we weren't going to be overreacting?
I don't think this is an overreaction. I think this is real.
I think the versatility thing you're speaking of has been a long-standing.
I agree with that. But I think it's been extra emphasized this offseason. Because to your point, offensive linemen, that's always been their thing, right?
Yes.
We want guys who can play guard, we want guys who can play tackle, we want guys who can play inside and outside, right? That's always been their philosophy with the offensive line. I agree with you on that. But it seems like defensively, that was a big pound on the glass by those
she was waving and her phone hit it.
Oh,
so she got embarrassed and ran.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoops. But I would say defensively, under Jeff Hafley, they seemingly are bringing in more guys that can play more than one spot on the field, right? So you're not just like locked into one spot. Even they're experimenting with Lucas Van Ness inside rather than outside on the defensive line. It seems to me like it's just been kicked up a little bit, especially defensively, with guys that can play all over the field, which I think is a good thing in this defense.
I think the result of what we're seeing on defense is more to do with the inadequacy of the defensive line, and we're not going to sit on our hands. We have to do something. Lucas Van Ness also played inside in college.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was a revelation this offseason that maybe we should try him there a little bit.
Yeah, year 3.
Yeah. By the way, position changing is usually not good. Or considering playing guys elsewhere.
I mean, the Bo Melton one, I would agree. The other ones, though, I think are fine.
It also fits.
Well, I
in
think it's problematic. Yeah,
yeah.
Right. You're actually right on that
You've been ineffective.
Yeah.
So we basically, with what we invested in you, we need to find a way to make you some level of productive. So I think that's a result of that. I think the defensive backs. I think that it's fair. I mean, Nate Hobbs is obviously the one, but he's playing 2 cornerback positions. There's not all that much changing going on. You're Javon Bullard, obviously strong safety / nickel guy. I think that's just a lot about the modern NFL.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of guys they want to play that way. I think they view some of the guys who are able to do that well, like Budda Baker comes up to mind, who I'm not sure is excellent at any of the position he plays, but he's pretty good at all of them. And that makes him a versatile and useful tool for them. And there's many other guys throughout modern NFL that you can point to that. Like Micah Parsons, until he became an unstoppable force, was playing inside linebacker. And then they said, well, this is probably better for our team. Zach Bond.
Yep.
I think it's a one layer of monkey see, monkey do. We've seen people have success at this. Maybe we can try it. We've also seen guys like Isaiah Simmons. Who did you even mention that in your versatility? Okay, I missed that part. He's not good at any of the positions he's played
so far.
Yes,
but I am actually holding out hope.
Because he was edge rusher, linebacker, safety, and he's below average at them all.
Below average is probably strong.
He might be.
He's not average.
He might be average at middle linebacker.
Here's the thing I'm holding out hope with him on, though. And you know I'm a big proponent of this. I'm a big believer in change of scenery can be good. I know this is a second change of scenery as he comes to Green Bay, but I think for him, if he gets in a position friendly defense, which I think both of the positions he plays are very highly touted in this Jeff Hafley scheme, I think he can become a really nice depth piece. I don't think he's a starter.
No,
but I think
special teamer /
in a situation,
need a body
situationally, right? And So I think he can be kind of a tweener, whether he's like lining up as a linebacker but covering a tight end type thing. I actually am holding out hope he can become a nice piece for this defense.
I'm not.
Okay, understood.
I think Isaiah McDuffie is going to get all the looks before him.
Agreed.
Then you
I agree
add
with
in Colin Oliver, who's also played a little inside linebacker as well, who's one of those edge outside guys that they think can do both.
And they're excited about him.
Yes. So there's. I think it's going to be hard for him to find his way onto the field short of maybe multiple injuries.
Okay.
I think special teams, he's going to be probably one of their best special teamers. And you kind of really can't have too many of those guys that can, in a pinch, play defense and also contribute on base. I mean, he's going to be on every special teams. There's nowhere you could really say, yeah, he doesn't belong there. Because, like, even punt coverage, yeah. Mm-hmm. Field goal, yeah. Like, there's all the spots. So I have a really hard time putting to bed, as you seem to want to do, the youth movement when 𝙬𝙍𝙍 hasn't and will not sign guys over 30, aside from the very...
Well, I think it's just a philosophy of his. But that doesn't need to be the identity of this team anymore. Because we did 2 seasons of the youth movement as the identity of this team. So
what I'm learning is you want to do away with it regardless of... Because youth is still going to have to contribute.
Well, of course. I mean, I think it does on every football team.
Right, but the Packers
especially
have clearly prioritized guys needing to contribute. Like Jordan Morgan is ostensibly a rookie. Marshawn Lloyd is ostensibly a rookie. Then Matthew Golden, Savion Williams. Lucas Musgrave has a half a season of play at this point.
More than that.
No,
more than that. His rookie year, he was pretty healthy until the end of the year when Tucker Kraft kind of got his first looks. And then last year, he was on and off. But, yeah, by the way, great use of the word ostensibly twice. And Will was not paying attention.
This guy's asleep at the wheel. It's his segment.
Will, wake up.
I think he's still asleep.
I thought Josh said a big word, so I had to go back and see what it was.
Ostensibly.
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
That's exactly what we were talking about, in fact.
Sorry, I was studying.
And then Josh said, Will is asleep at the wheel, and you weren't paying attention.
I literally yelled, wake up to him, too.
I had to see all the syllables so I could figure out how to spell it.
O-S-T.
No, let me figure it out. Shut up.
Oh, wow.
Spicy.
Snarky on a day. He gets a segment. Yeah, so ostensibly, I agree on some of those guys who are ostensibly
that
rookies.
Came out natural.
Yeah, definitely. Wait, you could tell that was
smooth
unnatural.
as butter.
What are you talking about? You know me. I would just say I'm killing the youth movement because I think the big part of why we use that as the Packers' identity the last 2 seasons is because of the quarterback. Right? Your quarterback was inexperienced. Despite being in the league for several years, he wasn't a starter. He was unproven. You didn't really know what you had in him. And so especially year 1, where they ultimately went on that great run, won a playoff game, yada, yada, in 2023, you didn't really know what you had, so that was the youth movement. All these rookies are contributing, or second-year guys are contributing, and then it's a young quarterback who you have no idea what you got in him. Last year, kind of the same thing, right? A lot of rookies contributing, especially on defense. You have year 2 receivers, tight ends, and a year 2 starting quarterback. But now we get into year 3 of Jordan Love. It's very clear he is the quarterback of the future for the Packers. He is going to be the staple. He's going to be the face of this team. The offensive line is getting older. You're entering year 4 for Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker, Sean Ryan. Elton Jenkins is turning 30 this year.
Are we sure Sean Ryan has a spot on the starting?
No, it'll be Jordan Morgan. I think
he's not going to start at left tackle?
Now that's an interesting point.
You know who got first reps? And
no,
I don't think didn't really run
at left tackle or run
left
guard?
tackle.
Left tackle, I would assume would be Morgan.
Yeah, he took, I believe, most of the snaps.
And then who was that right guard? Ryan?
That I wasn't aware of. I just saw that Jordan Morgan was taking the snaps, and then people were pointing out that Rasheed Walker is now with the rehab group. I don't know. I imagine they were probably switching out Belton and Ryan there. I mean, the Packers don't want to play Sean Ryan, let's be honest.
No, I don't think so.
They called him fat last year.
They did. Yeah, well, without saying it like that, but yes.
Yeah.
They were nice
They talked
about
about his how in shape he was.
Right.
Which
No,
is,
unlike the dog Avies on Facebook, they were nice about it.
yeah, I mean, and Mike McCarthy once calling Eddie Lacy,
Well,
I believe, did he use overweight instead?
I believe he used overweight.
Yeah.
Was he wrong?
No. That was an era where people were trying to convince us that it was the angles we were looking at.
Yeah.
That was a great time to be alive.
He looked like a defensive tackle.
Bad angle for him.
And I do want to be respectful to Eddie Lacy. He's a guy that went through a lot in his life, and he clearly, and he's said so, he only played football because he was good at it. He really didn't care about football. He didn't particularly enjoy playing football. It was just, hey, I've got a lot of talent, and there's a lot of money in this. I should probably ride it out.
And he sure did, and he did a great job.
Yeah.
Won Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
Right? I mean, he was awesome his first couple of years in Green Bay.
What I'm hearing when you're talking about getting rid of the youth movement, I think you are wishing and hoping and trying to get past it more so than I think it is reality and practice.
I'm not saying, because I think it's still likely they will be the youngest team in the league, or second youngest team in the league.
There certainly will be within the top 5.
So I guess I'm not necessarily disagreeing that they are a young team. But I think you have to get away from this being the identity, the narrative of this football team.
Here's
because
the thing.
it can't be. If you're actually a team, and Hunter played the hotkey earlier from Goody, right? Like, and Hunter, if you've got it ready, like Goody said, it's time we start competing for championships.
I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
Right? So if you actually want to use that and say, hey, it's time we start competing for championships, there's no more freaking excuses about being young. There's no more freaking excuses about being inexperienced.
This is what I thought you were getting
But it's not wish casting, Joshy. It's a matter of fact. If the general manager is saying it is time we start competing for championships around here, then you can't go, well, they're young, they're inexperienced, they don't know the playbook yet. Like, all those BS excuses are out the window now. That's no longer the identity of your team.
I don't know who you were listening to or talking to that actually said those were worthwhile excuses. I know people tried to push that narrative, and they try and use it as an excuse, maybe when their team's being attacked and they don't like it. The second Jordan Love signed a contract, that was Super Bowl or bust. That's how NFL teams go. When you sign that guy and you make your franchise quarterback and you put your stamp down and you say, this is the guy we're building our future around, that was the moment. Adrian Cooper is going to continue to make mistakes based on his youth. Evan Williams is going to do the same thing. Matthew Golden and Savion Williams are going to line up in the wrong spot, and they're going to have to call timeout because they don't know where they need to be. Like, that stuff's all going to keep happening, and it's not an excuse. It's a reality. So Goody knows those things are going to happen, and he could say it's time to compete for championships, and he might believe it, but the reality is youth is still going to affect the Packers in 2025. And I don't see any logical way around that. There's going to be plenty of guys that are contributing eventually because of injury, whatever it is. When you diagnose and analyze what you're watching from the Packers, there are going to be moments of youth mistakes. And I think Goody has basically decided he's okay with those as long as those guys continue to progress throughout the season. And we've seen it, sort of kind of 2 years in a row. Guys who were inconsistent or were having a hard time being on the field, by the time the end of the season rolled around, they looked like real contributors and real NFL players. But things happen. Guys from 2 to 3 don't always increase or get that much better. 1 to 2, they also don't always. They'll show flashes. There'll be moments of brilliance. But then there'll be a moment where you go, yeah, this guy is kind of learning on the fly here. I think the Packers have prioritized versatility from day one. I think it's maybe coming to the forefront now because of the way Jeff Hafley approaches his defense. And I think the Packers are doing right by him by giving him multifaceted weapons. because I think they saw last year when he gets creative, Jeff Hafley is amongst the best defensive coordinators in the league. The guy's 1 year as a DC and already getting head coaching interviews. That to me all matters. I hope that he stays for more than one more year because, or at least there's a disciple of his that is just going to keep things the same.
Yeah, this team makes the playoffs. He's gone.
I kind of believe that too. If they win a game or two, he's going to be one of the. I mean,
he's going to be one of the hottest candidates on the market.
They were a top 10 defense last year.
Yes, they were. Yep.
If they bump up towards a 6-5,
top 5,
yeah, kiss them goodbye.
I mean, and obviously no NFL head coaching experience, but head coaching experience during his time, obviously,
which
at
I
Boston
think
College.
makes it even easier for them. Where this guy's dealt with it in some, but I know we want to be done with the youth, but I think it's going to be every single year.
But hold on,
moving forward.
Again, I'm not making the case that the youth movement or the youth doesn't play a role, because naturally you're going to have rookies that are contributing. It's just how their number one receiver this year might be a rookie. I'm not disagreeing with that part of it, Josh. It's more I don't want, and maybe you're right. When Love signed that contract, maybe I'm 11 months late on declaring this.
I think our big difference is I didn't think it was an excuse last year, and you might have still thought it was.
I think it was.
That's probably where we're missing each other.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I didn't view it last year as a worthy as a worthy excuse. Because it's two parts. One, the Jordan Love thing, and this is the way Goody's building a team, and if he believes this can be successful, then guess what? Youth doesn't matter that much to him. And this isn't just a lead up to trying to win a Super Bowl. This is how he thinks he can win a Super Bowl and will win a Super Bowl, with churning guys constantly, not giving out second, third contracts. He thinks that through free agency and through the draft, that he can supplement his team incrementally every single year to put out a team he believes can be a Super Bowl winner.